Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports on the HN Network. Wednesday, July 5th after the long holiday weekend. Frank Granito in studio with my partner Kevin Coleman. And Kevin, a belated happy 4th of July. Getting to see you in person now. Hope you had a lot of fun this weekend. Always good to celebrate our nation's birthday.
It is, and I believe you celebrate pretty well with some hot dogs as well.
Unfortunately, the days of hot dogs have come and gone now. We are officially out of time on the challenge. I know that
All right, let me ask, what was the tally?
I was at 108 over the last 40 days.
Oh, I can't even fathom what having 108 hot dogs is like.
I lost 4 pounds.
Well, there you go.
You know, so clearly there's a new diet on the scene here. But aside from that, I think some of the biggest news from the weekend on a local standpoint, Kevin Shattenkirk signing a discounted deal with the Rangers. And Kevin's a guy from the New Rochelle area, played his youth hockey here in Fairfield County with the Mid-Fairfield Blues. A very, very talented player. He's in the prime of his career right now, coming off a 56-point season, a little disappointing in the playoffs, but huge. He takes that discount. It allows a lot of room for the Rangers to work within the salary cap era here. But most importantly, they now have a big right-handed shot offensively that is more of an offensive defenseman talent-wise than a lockdown defensive stand-in-the-shot lane kind of guy now.
I think it's a huge pickup for the Rangers because considering the guys who they lost, especially during the offseason, I know Stepan is a big guy that they lose, so I think when you bring him in, that provides that offensive power that they need. Again, still a young guy, so I think the Rangers are still trying to keep that youth movement going throughout the roster. So I think it's a good signing for them. I think, considering where he's from and where he grew up, you mentioned New Rochelle area, maybe that will convince Pacioretty maybe come down to New York one day.
That was going to be my next comment, was because he played with Max Pacioretty and Cam Atkinson growing up. Could this potentially be a falling block that, all right, you know what, we've got one guy maybe as their next contracts expire so they come back, and for the price they got him at, 4 years is the right number of years. I was afraid they might go 5 or 6 again, and we saw what happened with Girardi and Stahl. You don't want that again. It's an appropriate price, so it works out really well, and it's awesome to see, as Kevin put it, it's a dream come true getting to come back here and play for the team you grew up rooting for. So it's very, very cool. We'll keep an eye on that. Hopefully we maybe even talk to Kevin one day. I think it'd be a lot of fun to catch up with him as well. But let's stay local. We'll stay towards the professional level, and we want to bring in Joe Mixie now. Joe, first of all, happy 4th of July. Good to have you back. How was your weekend?
It was good. We were both hanging out in the Ocean State yesterday. I know that. So some much-needed time at the beach, but now even more needed time back in the studio talking sports, right?
I tell you what, it's a lot nicer here in the studio than it was at the beach. I am extremely sunburned. I did not appreciate how hot the sun gets when you're sitting there in the sand.
Yeah, we got to dim down those lights for you. You don't need the excess UV rays coming to you here in the studio.
Now, Joe, I know it's not Monday, but it's an abbreviated week here. We're at the start of the week. Let's get caught up on where the Bluefish are standing right now. First half of the season comes to an end. They don't clinch that playoff spot. They're currently tied for the wild card lead, though. And, Joe, when we last spoke, we talked about they had a huge opportunity coming up in their schedule with New Britain and with York and some of the bottom teams in the league. They're doing things right now.
Yeah, very unique play in the schedule for Bridgeport. They ended the first half with York and then New Britain, and then they started the second half with York and then New Britain again. So facing those two teams in the bottom, York at the bottom of the Freedom and New Britain at the bottom of the Liberty Division, kind of gave them some time to pick up some ground. They ended the first half of the season 41-29. That was a game out of first place. So Somerset, the Patriots, with 4 games left, actually clinched because of the magic number, and they had the tiebreaker as well. But Bridgeport went on to win their last 4 in the first half, and they actually extended that by winning the first game of the second half to a 5-game winning streak, which is their longest of the season. They fell last night 6-5 on the 4th of July, but they had some fireworks on the 3rd over at the ballpark. They had a crowd of over 5,000. It was a very successful holiday weekend for Bridgeport. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games, and they're really gelling, currently 1-1 in the second half. So ways that they can get to the playoffs are they can win the second half, or they can win the wild card if Somerset happens to win the second half, since they've already won the first half. So right now in the wild card race, they're 2.5 games ahead of Lancaster. So they just take the best overall team. So Lancaster and Southern Maryland on the other side of things actually tied for the first half, and they tied and head-to-head due to a postponement of a rain delay for a game back in May. So those two teams are going into a very unique situation. There's a Freedom League first-half championship game in late July over in Waldorf, Maryland. So I don't know if that's happened before, but that's going to be exciting in the Atlantic League. But back to Bridgeport, they've been playing good baseball. They've had a couple of transactions as Gustavo Molina, who was a catcher who had some issues getting over to Bridgeport, has found his way onto the team. They traded the catcher Santiago Nessie over to the Sugarland Skeeters. They picked up a couple of pitchers. They had a couple of guys get picked up onto affiliated rosters. But so far, things have been gelling. The offense has been very well. They picked up former major leaguer Andrew Lambo a few weeks ago. He had been dealing with some wrist issues. He had started on the spring training roster of the Oakland A's, and then he had been designated down to the Nashville Sounds, the AAA affiliate there, and then he had been released and picked up by Bridgeport. He has 3 home runs in his last 5 games, and he is doing very well. They have 3 players batting over 400 in their last 10 games, including Andrew Lambo. In June, they batted 280. Before that, in May, 283, and then in April, 284. So you can tell that the offense is leading the way for Bridgeport right now. It's a different kind of team, and this is the best that they've been in some time. They have as we said before, some time to make up some ground at the beginning of the second half before they have to play some of those tougher teams.
Now, Joe, I see that Tyler Badamo just got signed by the Diamondbacks. Kind of talk about, this is the 3rd player the Bluefish, on this roster during the season has been purchased by a Major League Baseball team. Do you expect any of the other guys on the roster to get picked up by any Major League teams?
Well, I think in the Atlantic League, you always kind of expect that. It's not really anything that comes out of left field, no pun intended. The Atlantic League is kind of serving as a buffer between affiliated ball and, kind of another refuge for these players to come. So the competition level kind of stands in between AA, the highest level of AA, and the lowest level of AAA baseball. So you get a lot of guys that maybe, made it up, played a few games at the major league level, and then kind of went back down. Some guys that got injured, or some guys that were kind of jobbers in the MLB and played for 10 or 15 years, and then they come back into the swing of things. So these are all guys that want to be signed by affiliated ball. That's why they're playing usually. Some of them are a little too old. Some of them are just right. So Chris Rierick just got signed. He was 29 years old. Tyler Badamo was one of the youngest players on the team. I think he's 24. So he'll go to high A ball in the California League to play for Visalia, who's the high A affiliate of the Arizona Diamondbacks. But it's a great thing. You welcome something like that. They actually just had a player, Iliarmo Vargas, who played for the Bluefish back in 2011, just made a 40-man roster over in Arizona. So they had a player get called up to the big leagues, which we're always tracking those players for the Fish that are currently playing in affiliated ball. Right now, there's, I think, between 8 and 10 of them. There's a lot of them right there. And that includes the Mexican League, which is the AAA affiliate, just a cash-paying league down in Mexico where a lot of players are signed to. So, yeah, I mean, you like that. Sometimes it hurts the team, but you play 140 games, you get all different players. It's something that has been prevalent in the Atlantic League since its inception in 1998. But, yeah, that's kind of what they're playing for. You miss them on the team, you miss a good guy like Tyler Badamo. He added depth to the starting pitching rotation. But, next man up, you sign somebody else, and you hope that they can get their shot in affiliated ball again, too.
I see that tonight is Roger Clemens bobblehead night. What are the chances that you get down to the ballpark at Harbor Yard and snag one of those bobbleheads?
Well, you have to be one of the first 250 people, so I won't be there tonight. I'm kind of in and out at this point, but those bobbleheads, Bridgeport always does great with their giveaways, especially the bobbleheads. They've given bobbleheads away from everybody to, Roger Clemens. We had Roger Clemens night last year where he was our guest manager. I'm trying to think. Lou Gehrig. They've done they're doing an Obama bobblehead giveaway, I believe, next week. So you never know what kind of giveaway you're going to get. If you're a collector, it's definitely a good place to be. If you go on eBay, you can always find things that they give away, and people will try to turn it around and sell it. They usually do a lot of pin giveaways, but yeah, it's a good incentive. I mean, I personally love. I don't collect bobbleheads, but if I get one, I'll hang on to it. And a Roger Clemens one is certainly one that you might want to do. So. Yeah, come out to the ballpark. You can get something like that. Usually they resell them for a lower price after they do the giveaway at the gear shop at the ballpark at Harbor Yard. But, yeah, it's a good giveaway. Do you like bobbleheads, Kevin?
I mean, I definitely have my fair share. I have to say my prized bobblehead is a Jeremy Shockey Giants bobblehead that's still sitting in my room right now. But yeah, bobbleheads are a cool collection to have, I think, if you're a baseball fan especially. Sure. So I think it is cool. You're right. I think throughout the years, I think we've seen that Bridgeport does a great job of, having giveaway nights, not just bobbleheads, but I think they do a nice job of trying to get, various demographic of fans to come into the ballpark each night. And I think it's great that they're doing Roger Clemens night. I think that's very cool. They're going to have some bobbleheads. And you're right, it's a cool collector's item too.
You should stop there on the way home from work and grab one. I think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah?
Yeah, just grab them for the studio. Go ahead. Now, Joe, if you look at the calendar, the next 8 days, in the next 8 games on the calendar for Bridgeport, they've got 5 against Yorktown, 3 against New Britain, and then they've got 6 consecutive games against Somerset and Maryland. How important are these next 8 games? And realistically, what record do you think the Bluefish need to post before heading into the matchup with the top 2 teams in the league?
Well, I would say that's kind of a very loaded question. You take a look at what they did last year. They started, I think it was 7-3 in the second half, and they ended up 2 games over 500. It was the first time they had posted a record over 500 in any half since the second half of 2012. So that kind of led the way, and then they posted a winning record again in the first half of 2017. There's not really an incentive for a record in the Atlantic League because there's only 8 teams. There can be a lot of parity. I've been doing my research going back to halves where teams who have negative records, teams who have records below 500 have actually won the first or second half of their respective division, and then they go to the playoffs. So there's not any, there's not any quota that you need to hit. There's not any incentive. They need to win the second half, or they need to do good in the wild card. And right now, they're well on their way towards both of them. So you need to win the winnable games. It begins when taking on these teams. You have an influx of games against York and New Britain. That means that coming up, you're going to have to play other harder teams like Southern Maryland and Lancaster and Somerset and Long Island. They haven't played the Ducks in a while, so the Ferry Cup will continue in a little bit. Those are going to be the tougher games for them. They don't play well across the pond on Bethpage Ballpark. They struggle over at TD Ballpark in Somerset. They haven't been to, I think they're going to have to go back to Texas to play Sugar Land, too. They haven't played the Skeeters over in the Lone Star State in quite some time because they began their season over there. But just take advantage of when you're playing at home, when you're playing close to home, when you're playing some of your best hitting baseball. One of the things about the ballpark at Harbor Yard is it's not a bandbox. It's not a hitter's ballpark. Over the batter's eye in center field is 405 feet, so that's one of the farthest distances. Bridgeport has been prone to give up home runs in terms of their starting pitching, and they don't hit a lot of home runs either, although they've been acquiring guys like Andrew Lambo who have helped them do that. So you kind of take advantage of the implications of playing at home, and you take that and you run with it. So I'd say that, right now they're 12 games over 500. I think that they could get to, 20, 25 games over 500 if they keep up consistent baseball, if they, don't have any injuries, or, if all their best players don't get signed, which I think that you might have a couple coming up, getting back to your question, Kevin, but you never know, really. So you just take it in stride, and you bring them all together and see what they're going to do. It's kind of a 2 halves of a whole story, the first half and the second half in the Atlantic League.
I think realistically before you hit Somerset on the 17th, I think you got to go 5-3, 6-2 these next games.
Oh, yeah.
I think that puts you in a good position with Somerset and Maryland back-to-back. They do take on Long Island again before the end of the month, and then late September, or mid-September, they go back to Sugar Land. That'll be their second to last series of the season. So you're at Sugar Land, and then you get Somerset at home to finish the year. So that's going to be another very tough stretch, and it's right after you're at Long Island. So we'll keep an eye on this throughout the summer. Joe, you do a great job with it. We're looking forward to keeping it up, man. All
right. Thank you very much for having me. Go Fish. We'll talk about it later. I look forward to contributing more.
Of course, absolutely. So we will step aside here on Nutmeg Sports. When we get back, we've got more local news coming up from just over this holiday weekend on the HA Network right after this.
Celebrate summer with fresh, made-to-order picnic boxes from Walter Stewart's Market. We have delicious summery selections from buttermilk fried chicken to grilled lemon chicken kebab, grilled shrimp Caesar salad wraps, or lobster salad rolls. Our easy-to-carry picnic boxes come with your choice of a meal, as well as a dessert, beverage, and utensils. Order online for simple pickup options. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, and online at stewartsmarket.com.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Registration is now open for our fitness training programs for high school athletes. The InSports Performance Center is offering blast speed classes, athletic functional movement assessments, and both men's and women's elite speed and strength training. Our premier programs help bring athletes to the next level. Call 203-268-1214 for more information. Like and follow us on Facebook.
School's out, the weather is hot, and the fish are biting. Whether you're heading to the beach or out on a boat, stop in at the dock shop before you go to fill your beach bag or tackle box with everything you'll need for fun in the sun. A new beach cover-up, some sunscreen, or just some bait, the dock shop has you covered from either location. 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. And yes, you heard that right. Bait is now available in Darien and Westport. The dock shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport. DockShop.com.
Want a new experience in car buying? Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram with one of the largest inventories of new 2- and 4-door Wranglers. We are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Come visit our new Ram Truck Center. Browse our websites, scapchryslerjeep.com or scapdodge.net to find the new Jeep, Chrysler Dodge car, minivan, or Ram truck you've been looking for. Just 2 miles from both I-95 or the Merritt Parkway exit 44. Save thousands right now at the summer clearance event. Going on now through July 31st.
I'm Tracy Masella, a licensed clinical social worker at Silver Hill Hospital in New Canaan. Join me each month as we talk with experts on the front lines of the treatment of mental health and addiction. Straight Talk with Tracy, a Silver Hill Hospital production, airs at 12 p.m. on the second Thursday of each month here on the HAN Network.
Back on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. Thanks again to Joe Mixie. As we shift gears now, we go a little locally, Kevin. We've got some award winners that were announced over this past weekend. Let's start with a nominee, though. It is Olivia Hump, a New Canaan High School alumni and just recent graduate of Princeton University. She was one of 5 Ivy League athletes nominated for the 2017 NCAA Woman of the Year Award. Hump, who was a 4-year starter for the Tigers women's lacrosse team, was named the IWLCA Scholar Athlete of the Year. And she also will leave Princeton as the program's all-time leader in points and goals. This award, Kevin, it's a program that honors the academic achievements, athletic excellence, community service, and leaderships of the graduating female college athletes from all 3 divisions. We've talked a lot about Olivia Hump over the past year. Obviously, the numbers speak for themselves when you look at 282 points in her career, 195 goals. She had 75 this year and 110, leading the Tigers to an Ivy League championship. But it's what she has done off of the field that really exemplifies all of these traits. She graduated summa cum laude from Princeton. She's an Eastern language major, is looking to do something in the Middle East now for work. So it's very cool to see her recognized amongst 543 women nationally now as the process gets shipped down. It
is, and it's a huge honor for her because you're right. Not only is she a terrific athlete, but what she does off the field is even better. She's got great academics. I mean, the Scholar Athlete of the Year, it's a great honor for her. And you talk about what she does off the field in terms of community service as well. So, a great athlete, and you're right. I think she has to be proud that she's at least being, in the running for this award. And you talk about her senior season, just tearing it up with 75 goals. I mean, what a way to end your career. And not only that, but to bring home an Ivy League championship is not too bad either.
Brought home an Ivy League championship. She was also the Ivy League Attackman of the Year. She was an All-Ivy player, All-Regional player, and she was first-team All-American. She and 543 women were nominated by their schools and teams, and that list of nominees now goes through a series of conference and division selections before the top 9 finalists are announced in September. The award ceremony for the 2017 NCAA Woman of the Year will be announced October 22nd in Indianapolis, so good luck to Olivia Hom. Another FCAC representative took home some hardware, and that was Wilton High School cross country and track coach Jeff Gee, who was recently named the National High School Athletic Coaches Association National Coach of the Year for girls cross country. National Coaches of the Year in 16 boys and girls sports were honored during a banquet at the NHSACA convention in Illinois on June 21st. Gee was one of 8 national finalists for the Girls Cross Country Award. This was his second time being nominated. He was also a nominee in 2009. This is the first time he has won. This selection is based on longevity, service to high school athletics, honors, championship years, and winning percentage. We obviously know how successful Wilton was the past few years, especially with us getting our first exposure to how good Morgan McCormick is. I was unaware of these numbers, and they jumped out at me today, Kevin. First of all, that Coach Gee was in his 29th season. In that time, Wilton has finished in the top 3 at the FCAC Championship 24 out of 28 times. That also includes 8 FCAC titles, 4 straight from 1990 to 1994, and 7 FCAC runner-up finishes. This is a well-deserved award for Coach Gee, and what stands out to me most is that it's based on longevity. He has been doing this for a very long time and doing it consistently for that period of time.
Well-deserved, certainly. You talk about those 29 years, 1990 through 1994, that great run there, and you talk about the other years as well, 2002, 2008, and 2010. This is a great coach, and you talk about the longevity. He's been doing this for such a long time, and he's been doing a great job. And I think you're right. I think we got a good taste of it, of the cross country and what he does as a coach, especially with Morgan McCormick. You see that chemistry he has with his runners and with the players that he has, and it really is remarkable to see. So, we hope that he continues to have a great career at Wilton, because he's done a terrific job.
Well, we're going to see that chemistry a little more, because McCormick is coming back again next year, and we could be looking at a 9th FCAC championship with her at the helm.
Oh, certainly. I think she, just her alone, I think she can bring that home for the Wilton Warriors. So it's going to be fun to watch. I think, I'm looking forward to next year's Cross Country Open, because I think that's going to be a blast to see, what Wilton can do and what Morgan McCormick can do in her senior year.
It is not that far away, just 5 months, not even 5 months, I'm sorry, 4 months now. So
it's right around the corner.
We are getting right up to that fall season. Kev, let's step aside one more time. When we get back, we got some local high school action that was going on, including 4 young men who were competing at the Under Armour All-America lacrosse game down in Maryland this past weekend. That's next on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Want a new experience in car buying? No aggravation, no confrontation, just answers to all your questions. Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Car buying the way you want it to be. With one of the largest selections of new 2- and 4-door Jeep Wranglers available, we are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Located in Fairfield, Connecticut, we're easy to get to. Just 2.5 miles off the Merritt Parkway, exit 44 via Route 58 South. Save thousands right now at the summer clearance event, going on now through July 31st.
You don't have to go far for authentic Neapolitan cuisine and renowned wood-fire pizza. Pizzeria Loretano of Bethel is a contemporary Italian bistro, specializing in authentic wood-fired brick-oven pizza Napolitana. Pizzeria Loretano was named one of America's top 1,000 Italian restaurants in 2008 by Zagat, and recommended by Jane and Michael Stern on National Public Radio's Splendid Table. Located close to the Bethel Cinema, we focus on quality, and our food is always made to order. Join us for live jazz Sundays from 6 to 8. Find our schedule, menu, and more at pizzerialoretano.com, and like us on Facebook.
I can't believe it.
Well, Dad, you did it. You sold 160 cars. Ready to go back upstairs now?
I think it's time. I wonder how the boys are making out in their new office. Not what I had in mind, Kyle. What, Dad?
Maybe we should retire. Right now, lease a 2017 Rogue S for only $139 a month. Isn't it time you got Millerized?
If you've ever thought about owning a motor coach or learning about what it's like to travel the open road in superior style and comfort, then contact Dave's RV Center in Danbury, Connecticut. Offering the best quality Class A motorhomes from Newmar, travel trailers and fifth wheel lines from Surveyor, and a toy hauler line from Work and Play. Choose from Newmar's Gas Line, Base Star and Canyon Star, or from Newmar's Diesel Line, Ventana and Dutch Star. And with unparalleled service and maintenance, Dave's RV is committed to keeping you and your motor coach safely on the road and enjoying it to the fullest. Stop by their showroom, 2 Industrial Plaza Road, Danbury, Connecticut, or call 877-483-3866. If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier network, and we've also reached more than 2 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We are back on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network. We take a second now to go down to Townsend, Maryland, where Saturday night the Under Armour All-America Lacrosse game was held for the, I believe it's now 12th year, Kevin, as this has been a game that's really taken off. 40 players competing, going to, I think it was 24 different schools. Notre Dame had the most with 5 recruits playing in the game, including Darienne's Arden Cohen. Arden was one of 4 athletes selected out of the FCI conference, including New Canaan's Ryan O'Connell and Drew Morris, along with Darien goaltender Ryan Cornell. So you had 2 FCI goalies representing the North playing in this game. The North would go on and win 18-16 in this game. Both, I thought, Morris and Cornell, for an all-star game, did a very good job in net. Defense is obviously not emphasized when it comes to these things. Yeah. Ryan O'Connell did score a goal, but it's another year, and I expect when we get to next season, we're going to see more players from the conference going down and competing, and not only competing, holding their own and being very successful in this game. Yeah,
I think it's a great showcase for these young athletes who are preparing to go to that next level Division I lacrosse, and I think it's a great way to get all these guys together, play a game, and yes, you're right, defense is not really there in this game. It was more or less just an offensive showing, but what better way to sit down and watch a great game of lacrosse with all these great recruits going into that Division I level. And it's great to see that we had some guys representing the FCIAC down there. We saw Ryan O'Connell score, and we saw Drew Morris. It was cool. And I got to tell you, Frank, I was watching some of the highlights, even watching it live. Some of those celebrations were pretty eye-opening. You had some guys signing the lacrosse ball as an autograph and tossing it in the stands. So it was a lot of fun to watch.
You could hear Quinn Kesnich talking about it during the game. The celebration has become a major part of this. It's obviously Under Armour and all of lacrosse wants this to be a fun weekend for these young men. It is really an award and a reward, for all their work and effort they have put in through their careers now, and distinguishing themselves as some of the top young athletes in this nation as they get set to go to the collegiate level. So it was a lot of fun. They get hooked up with a lot of gear. I know my cousin actually played in this game back in 2000, and now I'm going to date myself. Here we go. Back in 2006, and I want to say it was the original one, and I still got some of the swag from it, but I like that they've gone now to the red, white, and blue theme, doing it 4th of July weekend, because they look fresh.
And yeah, I follow. So if you follow Under Armour on Snapchat, they were going behind the scenes all weekend long during this game, and you could see the reaction from the players when they got to open up their shoe boxes to get the cleats. So they were getting hooked up with some fresh swag. So they were excited. That's the cool part too. I think that you get rewarded with some great swag, and Under Armour doesn't mess around. They have some sweet gear.
Well, another team from this area that got hooked up with some sweet swag was the Eclipse Lacrosse Club U13 team, which just went out to Denver to compete in the Warrior World Series of Youth Lacrosse. This was year number 3 of the World Series tournament for youth lacrosse. This was the 2nd year in a row an Eclipse club has gone out there. The young men went 3-3 in their tournament. Their final game, they played BBL Elite, falling 7-5. But a great effort from the young men. It was another win for a tri-state area team, as the LI Express are this year's champions. But first of all, Warrior hooks these young men up, Kev. You're talking about 13-year-old kids now out there who are just decked out to the nines in swag. This is a very, very cool tournament. And what stands out to me, 2 names at the top of the roster for these young men. You've got Henry Cunney of New Canaan, who finished the tournament with 10 points in 6 games, and Matthew Minikis of Darien, 23 points in those 6 games. I think he's going to be okay.
I think we're going
to be seeing those names pretty soon as they continue to climb the ladder here. But it's a really cool experience for these guys. I know Dave Stewart was at their practice before they left, so there'll be a story in the NC Advertiser this week. We're hoping to talk with head coach Jamie Hanford, who was a player at Loyola not too long ago, spent some time in the MLL, about the experience. But really, these kids, when they look back on it, I don't think in 10 years they'll be able to tell you they were 3-3. They're going to tell you everything that they did that weekend at that tournament.
Yeah, it's like any kid going on a trip with their team, and it's all about chemistry too. But you talk again about we've emphasized during this past lacrosse season how good just this youth program is around Fairfield County. If you have kids going to these showcases, these tournaments around the country, what better way to get better as a youth player than go to these tournaments, go to these showcases, get better? Like we said, I think we're going to see these names come up pretty soon at the varsity level once they reach high school.
Now, Kev, as we're wrapping things up here today, we look ahead to this weekend. We've got Grip It and Rip It coming up. We are on the air Friday afternoon from New Canaan High. 2 to 3 o'clock, we're going to have players and coaches joining us, a couple of members of the media as well. We'll have footage of the pool play around, and then we're back on the air Saturday, 12 to 2:30, bringing you quarterfinal action along with semifinals in the championship game. John Kovacs will join Kevin and myself on the call. Kev, as we head forward to this weekend, what are you looking forward to seeing the most?
Drew Pine. 100% Drew Pine. I think, the question is, how is he going to play after a phenomenal freshman year? Is he going to come back and have that same kind of success? So I'm excited to see how he does, how the chemistry is with his wide receivers. So I'm really looking forward to all these teams. It's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to how fast it's going to be, too, because this is going to be some quick players out there.
Well, it's very interesting you mentioned Drew Pine, too, because New Canaan is one of the few teams from the FCAC competing in the tournament this weekend set at the quarterback position. Personally, I'm really excited to see Darien on Friday.
That's
and
true.
Who they've got playing quarterback. Who are going to be the new names that step up and fill the holes that were left by a very successful senior class. And the best way to get a really good idea on what these teams and these players are going to look like is to have John Kovacs on with us tomorrow.
A little chalk talk, maybe?
Maybe a little chalk talk. John is with us Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this week. It'll be a lot of fun. He's also on before Nutmeg tomorrow at 1 o'clock with the Yankee Fisherman. As always, you get Coffee Break with Kate Chaplensky at 11 a.m. For Kevin Coleman, I'm Frank Granito. Thanks again to Joe Mixie. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the HAN Network.
Yeah.